Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the class. We were discussing yesterday about universal adult franchise, which was given by our constitution makers to all citizens of India. And the right to vote is associated with the right to contest election also. Both of them are connected to each other. And then we were discussing today we will discuss about independent election commission. Uh, as we have studied that democracy and elections are completely related to each other. We cannot think of democracy in the absence of election. Elections are must in order to make democracy working. So democracy is very much dependent on election, but democracy will be real. Democracy will be meaningful only if the elections are free and fair. And our constitution makers were very much aware of this fact that the constitution that our election system and process should be free and fair. And in order to ensure this free and fair election system and process, our constitution makers created an independent election commission. And the main function of this independent election commission is to supervise and conduct elections. Okay, so this provision of having an independent election commission is very much important from the viewpoint of establishment of democracy in real sense of the term, because in the absence of independent election commission, what will happen that election will be conducted in a country. Election will be conducted under the influence of government machinery, and in that situation, in that circumstances, we cannot say that the election was free and fair, because there will be involvement of government, there will be involvement of government officials, and in this way, the election will not remain fair and free. It will become partial towards the government. And we have seen that in many developing countries, this type of situation arose where elections are conducted under the influence of the government only. And in this way, the ruling party is able to win the elections. And in this way, democracy is has become meaningless in those countries. But our constitution makers were very much aware of all these things, and that is the reason they have provided for an independent election commission. Article 324, Clause 1. Our constitution In our constitution, Article 324, Clause 1 states that in the superintendent's direction and control of the preparation of the electoral rolls for and conduct of all election to Parliament and to the legislature of every state, and of elections to the office of President and Vice President held under this Constitution shall be vested in a commission referred to in this Constitution as the Election Commission. So, the Election Commission has been given the responsibility of superintendence, direction, and control of the preparation of the electoral rolls. Electoral rolls are, we can say it, voters list, in under which names of the voters of a particular area is written down. And this is the prime responsibility of the election commission to prepare this electoral list, and it to supervise the work, it give direction to the work, and it is the preparation of electoral rolls is done under the control of election commission, and elections are conducted by the election commission. What which elections are conducted by the election commission? These are the election to the parliament, then election to the legislature of the state, then election to the office of president and vice president. All these four types of elections are conducted by the election commission. Okay, so Article 324 of the Indian Constitution provides, this is very much important. You must remember all these articles. Okay, so this is Article 324. Clause 1 is not important, but Article 324 is very much important. This article provides for an independent election commission for the superintendence, direction, and control of the electoral rolls and the conduct of election in India. These words in the constitution are very important because it gives the election commission a decisive role in virtually everything to do with the election. If there is any matter arose regarding the election, if there is any controversy arose, uh, if there is any controversy which arises because in the in the election, during the election process, then that controversy is settled by election commission. So our election commission plays a decisive role in everything which is related to the election. It is the ultimate authority, we can say, in the matters of election. And though these things were not clear in our constitution, that our constitution makers, what does what do they want to say when they are saying that the superintendent's direction and control of the preparation of the electoral rolls and the conduct of all election uh, mm, will be held under this constitution shall be vested in a commission. So it was the interpretation of Supreme Court that the election commission plays a decisive role in virtually everything which are related to the elections. So this is our election commission. In order to assist the election commission, there is a chief electoral officer in every state. So this is also important to assist the Election Commission of India. There is a chief electoral officer in every state. The Election Commission does not uh, conduct the elections to local bodies. Local government election to the local government is held under the supervision of a state election commission. Okay, there is provision for state election commissions, not in the constitution, but by the constitutional amendment. These commissions were came into existence, and these state election commissions are responsible for the conduct of the election to the local government. Okay, so these state election commissioner, the head of the state election commission is state election commissioner. They work independently of the election commission of India, and each has its own sphere of operation. It's not that the state election commissions are under the control of election commission. No, the state election commissions work independently of the election commission. Okay, now we will understand the composition of election commission of India. How many members are there in the election commission? Actually, it is not determined by the constitution that how many members could be there in the election commission. It can either be a single member body or a multi-member body also. It depends on the government that what does it want. If the government wanted to make a single member government, a single member commission, it can be like that also. And if the government wants to make it a multi-member body, then it can be like that also. till what happened in our country that till 1989 the election commission was a single member body. There was only one member in the election commission. Lekin, just before the elections of the 1989, what happened that the government made this commission multi-member, and two election commissioners were appointed. And then after the election, what happened? Then the commission again became single member. So actually, what happened that there was a type of conflict between the government and the chief election commissioner who was presiding the election commission at that time. So in order to make control over the powers of the chief election commissioner, the government has appointed election commissioner, two election commissioner, and then after the election of 1989, the commission again become single member body. Then again in 1993, what happened that two election commissioners were once again appointed, and it again became multi-member. But now what we find that from 1993 till today, it has remained multi-member only. There is no change in its composition. It has one chief election commissioner and two election commissioners. Okay, so what we find that people have different opinion regarding the powers of the chief election commissioner and other commissioners, and it was highly controversial that how much power should be vested with the chief election commissioner and how much power should be with the election commissioner. And because of this ambiguity, there is no clarity in our constitution, and because of this lack of clarity, there arose a conflict between the chief election commissioner and the election commissioner. And after this conflict, the matter went in the Supreme Court, and there the it was the judgment of the Supreme Court judges. It was the interpretation of the Constitution of India by the judges of the Supreme Court that a multi-member election commission should be there, because it in a way it controls the powers of the um, chief election commissioner, and actually all the three work as a check and balance, and they work with more accountability because they are now it has become a multi-member commission. So the judgment of the Supreme Court, which was regarding the interpretation of the Constitution regarding this matter, composition of election commission, it was decided by the court that the election commission should be a multi-member body. And then what we find that it was also interpreted that the chief election commissioner and the election commissioners, their power is not that chief election commissioner is the head of the election commission and he can give command, and all the other election commissioner are completely under his subordination. This is not the matter. It is only that they have more or less equal power. They are not having unequal power, and it's not like that the chief election commissioner is the most powerful among the three-member body. uh, the only thing is that the chief election commissioner presides over the election commission. Whenever there is a meeting of election commission, the chief election commissioner preside that meeting. He is the head of the meeting, but he does not have any type of more power than the other election commissioner. Okay, both of them have a trio of them, the CEC, Chief Election Commissioner, and the two election commissioner. All of them have equal powers to take all decisions relating to election as a collective body. So they have equal power. They are appointed by who appoint them? They are appointed by the president. This is very important sentence, that the CEC and the two election commissioner have equal power to take all decisions relating to election as a collective body. This is the sentence. All decisions regarding relating to elections as a collective body. And this is also important. The chief election commissioner presides over the election commission, but does not have more power than the other election commissioners. Okay. And who appoints the chief election commissioner and other election commissioner? They are appointed by the president, but the president does not appoint them by their own by his own discretion, but it appoints them according to the advice of the council of ministers. So many times it is very much possible that a ruling party try to appoint a party person try to appoint such a person to the commission who might favor them in the elections. So in this way, what will happen? If the ruling party is in the position of appointing any person as a chief election commissioner who the party think that he might favor them in the election, then in that situation, the elections in the country will not remain free and fair. And our constitution makers were aware that there may be this type of thing can take place, because the president is not appointing the chief election commissioner on its own, but he is working only on the advice of the council of minister. So this because of this where the procedure changed. Okay, many persons have suggested that a different method should be followed that makes consultation with the leader of opposition and the chief justice of India necessary for the appointment of CEC and election commissioner. So it can be there. That is the reason that many people have suggested that there should be some different method should be adopted in order to appoint chief election commissioner. It's not that only the advice of the cabinet or the council of ministers is required by the president in order to appoint a chief election commissioner, but uh, there are many suggestions. Many people are of the view that the people should that the council of minister should make consultation with the leader of opposition and chief justice of India. Then only there should be appointment of CEC and election commissioner. So that in this situation, what will happen, as there is consultation is done with the leader of opposition and chief justice of India. So what will happen, that the advice of council of ministers can be cannot be ये ज़रूरी नहीं होगा कि प्रेसिडेंट उसको ओबे करे. He should he is not binding by the advice of the council of minister only, because there are other people also who are there to advise the president, and these other people are leader of opposition and chief justice of India. So in this way the monopoly of the government over the appointment of election commissioner will be lifted, will not be there. So it is suggested, but it has not been adopted. The constitution makers were aware that there may be influence of the government on the election commissioner, and that is the reason that they ensure the security of the tenure of the CEC and election commissioner. They are appointed for a 6 year term or continue till the age of 65, whichever is earlier. Their tenure is fixed. They are appointed for a period of 6 year, either 6 year, or they can continue till the age of 65, whichever is earlier. If before achieving the age of 65, if their term of 6 years is completed, then they will be removed after 6 years. But if before achieving the age of, but before completing the tenure of 6 years, the person becomes 65 years of age, then he will be no more a chief election commissioner or election commissioner, because they are appointed only for 6 year term or continue till the age of 65, whichever is earlier. It is the meaning. Now there is provision for removal also. Before the expiry of the term, the chief election commissioner and election commissioner can be removed by the president. President has the power to remove the chief election commissioner and the election commissioner. But if president cannot remove him arbitrarily, there is a process. Both houses of parliament, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, make such a recommendation with a special majority. So there should be recommendation for the removal of the um, chief election commissioner, and this recommendation should pass with a special majority. Special majority means, what does it mean? There should be, you can see it is given here. Special majority, this is the special majority, two-third majority of those present and voting. It's not about the total membership. It to take into consideration only those members who are present and who are voting. Okay, so the members who are present and voting, two-third of them is required in order to gain a special majority. But this is not enough. There is one more thing which will be required to be fulfilled if we want a special majority, and that is a simple majority of the total membership of the house. Suppose the total membership of the house is, okay, it is given an example. Let us say that you have to pass a resolution in your class with a special majority. Okay, there is a proposal or a resolution in your class, and this resolution is to be passed with a special majority. Okay, imagine further that your class has a total student of 57. What is the number of total student? It's 57. Okay. Now, but on the day of voting, only 51 students are present. 6 students are absent, and what we find is that only 51 students are present on that day on which voting was to take place. Okay. Mm, and what happened that in this 51 also we find that only 50 students have uh, participated in the process of voting. It means one student was present, but he did not wanted to use his voting right, and he did not use his voting right. So, though the people who are present are 51, but voting, they are all of them are not using their right to vote. One person has not used his right. So, what is the number of those students who are present and voting? It is 50. Okay. अब we are supposed to, if we want to pass the resolution, we need two-third majority. So what will be the two-third majority of 53? It will be 100 by 3, and that will be 33.1 by 3%, isn't it? 33 whole 1/3%. ये जो है, ये this much of this number of students is required in order to pass the resolution. If 33 students says, if 33 students say yes, then that resolution will be passed. But one more thing is there. What's that? We have to see this say, simple majority of the total membership of the house. Total membership is 57. And what is, how do we calculate simple majority? We calculate simple majority by half of the total membership. Okay, we are calculating what is half of 150, half of 57, and this is 28.5, है ना? So this is half over 28.5, and then we will add 1 plus 1. So what is our result? 28.5 plus 1. So it will be 29.5. But as people cannot be divided into decimals, so it will be 29.5 will be 30. So in order to pass the resolution, what is required? That just a moment. Now there is requirement of 30 votes. So these are the two conditions. In order to pass a resolution by simple special majority, the first thing is required that two-thirds majority of the present and voting members, and the second thing is required simple majority of the total membership of the house. So if the president can remove the chief election commissioner only if if it is recommended by both the houses of the parliament, and that recommendation should be passed by special majority of the both the house separately. Okay, this is done to ensure that a ruling party cannot remove a CEC who refuses to favor it in election. Suppose the government wants that the chief election commissioner should behave in a partial manner, should behave in such a way that the government should be benefited, and for that it is putting pressure on the CEC, and one of the pressure is that that if the CEC does not act according to the desire of the government, then what the government will do, government will remove him, because the president does not do anything on his own, but he or she works according to the advice of the council of ministers. So government can put pressure on the chief election commissioner uh, to work according to the desire of the government, otherwise he will be removed. But here what we find that the process of removal of chief election commissioner is very tough. The resolution, the recommendation to remove the CEC should be passed in both the houses by a special majority, and it is not an easy task to achieve that special majority. So, in this way, we find that Election Commission of India has been made independent of the government influenced by our constitution makers. Now, in the next class, we will discuss about the functions of the election commissions, and these are the basic things about the election commission. And then electoral reforms will also be discussed. What type of electoral reforms are required in order to make our democracy more real, in order to make our elections more fair and impartial. So this is all for today. Now we will meet tomorrow.